Mga kababayan, we have had prior panels discussing this very difficult topic before here on our show. However, lives are continuously being lost. Quite recently, several people in our Filipino community have committed suicide, and we're still not talking about it. It's time that we do. A teenager was caught plagiarizing by a teacher who then reprimanded him and committed suicide. Another 15-year-old child actress who used Tumblr, the social media site, to post her suicide letter days after she died, proclaiming her trans man identification, also committed suicide. A 13-year-old jumped out of a car off an interstate bridge because a video was posted on YouTube of her father punishing her by cutting off her hair. She also committed suicide. Even a Fil-Am star athlete. Even an Asian American Yale student. This is happening in our community, and it's an opportunity to talk about suicide and mental health and how important it is to remove the stigma of this condition. Kasama natin ang panel of professionals so we can better understand the implications of mental illness that leads to suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, kasama natin si Dr. Patricia Heras, who has been a clinical and consulting psychologist for over 28 years, specializing in cross-cultural assessment, treatment, and training in the areas of developing clinical cultural competence. She retired from her practice last year, but she's here today, and she's authored several publications on cross-cultural assessment and training, and has been in the faculty of San Diego State University and University of California in San Diego, the School of Medicine, and the California School of Professional Psychology. Kasama rin natin si Red Galura Jr., who is a peer specialist for Next Steps, a collaborative nonprofit program in San Diego County between National Alliance on Mental Illness in San Diego, Union of Pan-Asian Communities, Mental Health Systems, and Family Health Centers. Red naman graduated from University of California in San Diego with a BA in Sociology with an emphasis on social inequalities. Kasama rin natin ngayon si Dr. Rizaldy Ferrer, who is a clinical psychologist working at the LA County Department of Mental Health and a private practice in Pasadena, California. He has published and co-published research studies in the field of mental health and dedicates his work to improve well-being. And lastly, kasama natin muli si Elizabeth Tiglao-Guss, who is a social entrepreneur and founder of Link of Hearts, a lifestyle brand raising awareness for depression and making inspirational homemade products in Los Angeles. She's also a mental illness survivor and now, as a result, is a big advocate for mental health. All our panelists today are Filipino-American, nagtatagalog, and so pag-uusapan natin yan, the implications when it comes to our community, the Filipino-American community. So maraming salamat for being here. Such a distinguished panel. Thank you for making the time. Let's get started right away. Maraming pag-uusapan. Okay, why are we not talking about this still in the Filipino-American community? Patricia?
Probably one of the biggest reasons is there's still a lot of stigma attached to mental illness. Nobody wants to admit they have a family member that's ill or that's suffering from depression, because the first thought is, what's wrong with me? What have I not done as a parent, as a wife, as a husband, that my spouse or my child is suffering? So the stigma of mental illness, and I think it's a big factor. The church contributes a great deal to that. You know, it's a sin to kill yourself. So the church is also contributes to that stigma. There's shame in the family.
Yeah. Ikinakahiya ng family members, di ba? Rizaldy, in your experience, bakit kaya hindi pinag-uusapan ng mga Pilipino itong topic ng suicide?
I think because we don't know anything about it. I think if we wanted to start, we start with numbers, we start with statistics. Suicide in the United States is the 10th leading cause of death. And among young individuals, aged 15 to 25, it's actually the second leading cause of death. So it's a serious issue, and we found out in studies that of all the people who committed suicide, 90% of them do have a diagnosable mental illness. So mental illness and suicide is such an important correlation to understand. And I think it's exactly what you're saying. We're not talking about it, so we don't know. But I think one of my guesses is that you know, we have this concept of failure. We come here to the United States to make it, to
make a better
to make a better life, to succeed, and to end our life like that is a sense of like I failed.
Okay, Red, I know that you work a lot with people that have actually attempted suicide. Are there a lot of Filipinos that you counsel?
Yeah, actually, I actually work out of the San Diego County Psychiatric Hospital, and most of the Filipinos that come to me, it's the same exact story. You know, there's this huge stigma with mental health, particularly in our community. And I think it's universal in any community, but particularly to the Filipino community, a lot of times because our ideas of what contributes to, let's say, depression, a lot of that touches on what we think is, in our community anyway, the social capital of family and friendship, togetherness, and community. So para bang yung mga kaibigan natin, yung mga kapamilya natin gustong tumulong, pero most of the time, di nila alam kung paano. Kung paano tumulong.
Okay. Elizabeth, because you have been there, how could people have helped you during that time?
I think if there was more understanding and compassion, instead of me fearing the shame of being criticized, of being judged, that there's something wrong with me, or I would be labeled as crazy. So those are the labels that kind of really fuel that stigma.
Yeah, kasi ang tawag sa lengguwahe natin, luka-luka.
Yeah.
Oh, sira ng ulo.
Sira ulo.
Nasiraan ng ulo.
It's either you're crazy or you're not.
So there's
But
no in between.
There's no in
Sira ng
between.
ulo is you're broken, and if you're broken, you know, it's hard to
And then
fix.
that's it, yeah.
You know?
And people will talk about you. And I personally didn't even want to talk about it because I didn't want to shame my family.
Yun na. That's the thing. That's
Family is
really
there.
the thing. Ayaw pag-usapan ng ibang tao because in our community, reputation is everything. When we return, pag-uusapan natin yan, character flaw ba ang depression at mental health illness? We'll be right back.